Welcome to our Savvy series. I'm Catherine Magana here with Rachel Ivanovich, and today we're going to discuss Financial Spring Refresh, 5 money moves to make before summer. So I know it's springtime and we're thinking, let's clean the closets, let's get our home in order, but the reality is there's some things you should look at from a financial perspective and make sure that your financial life is in order as well. And so the first one is revisit your budget. So we're now in the middle of May. Almost half the year's over.
It's hard to think.
I know. It's and just kind of revisiting, looking at what are the expenses? Has anything changed? It seems like everything's going up, by the way, but the cost of things are going up. And then did you have any plans for travel? Usually at the beginning of the year, you kind of have an idea of what's planned for the year, but sometimes things come up that you weren't expecting.
You get wedding invitations.
Yeah, I know. We're actually going to a wedding this weekend, which wasn't originally planned, but here we are.
But you do have to adjust for those seasonal expenses and make sure you're planning ahead for them so that you can stay within your budget.
And I think it would be a good time as you are revisiting your expenses and lifestyle, maybe look at some of those subscriptions. If you are online, I know a few years back, it's been many years now, but we got rid of cable thinking, okay, we're going to do streaming. Well, then it seems like if you add up all the streaming, it probably costs us just as much as the cable. And the whole idea was like, we're going to save money, but then all the...
You have college coming up for 2 kids.
And some of these subscriptions, the costs go up too. So just kind of revisiting, saying, okay, what do I need and not need? But that's kind of a good thing to look at.
I think this is also a really good time since the tax season has ended. Maybe returns on extension, but pull your pay stubs and look at your withholding, because if you typically get a really big refund, this might be the time of year to adjust your withholding so that refund isn't quite as large, and you can use that excess money that normally you would get, $5,000, $6,000 between federal and state refunds, and take that and receive it in each paycheck so that you can start saving and investing.
Nice. Okay, so another one is looking at your retirement contributions.
Or using that money to put it into your retirement account.
There you go. See? Maxing out your retirement
Exactly.
accounts. And so that's something I think, that we're approaching before the middle of the year. If you are contributing to a 401k plan, did you make the increases at the beginning of the year, or are you on track for some of those?
And at least are you putting enough away to get the match from your employer?
Yeah. And so that's something to consider. Or did you put most of it away in the beginning of the year, so now you have to revisit to make sure you're not over-contributing? But for 2025, in the 401k plan, the annual salary deferral is $23,500, and then it goes up. The catch-up is $7,500, and the catch-up is if you're over the age 50. And then on top of that, there's actually, if your age is 60, 61, 62,
or 63,
there's even more that you can allocate and put away. And
who knows with this pending tax bill what they're going to do to it.
I know.
There might be some changes. So
just
stay tuned.
Just kind of look at, and if you're putting money in IRAs or Roth IRAs, and, those contribution limits have increased as well. So the next one is portfolio checkup. So here we are, the markets this year, we were just having a conversation on a market update, and, year to date, basically the stock market has fluctuated, and we're pretty much a lot. And then here we are, the S&P 500. Today is May 15th, but as of yesterday's close, the S&P 500 was slightly up for the year, whereas it was down pretty significantly earlier this year.
It's been a roller coaster a little bit.
It has. So this is, I think, a good time to kind of look at what is your allocation? Has anything changed? Do you still feel comfortable with it? Are there any opportunities for any tax loss harvesting? Or looking at the markets they've been volatile, but now it's kind of stabilized a little bit. Is this maybe revisiting, make sure you feel comfortable with where you're at with your investments, and so that's something to look at and make sure that you're in a good allocation. And then the next one is kind of looking at your emergency fund. So this is something, it's interesting. I actually just met with a client this week, and we're doing a financial plan for this couple that they want to retire, or she wants to retire in the next 7 years. And the couple, we have all their pension and 401ks and all their information. And she says, I said, well, do you have any savings? She's like, well, we don't want to factor that in. I was like, okay, well, I kind of need to know what your emergency funds are, because there were some stock options they want to sell and they would have extra cash. And I said, well, if I don't know how much you have, I'm going to say you need a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. 3 months if you have a really consistent job, you want to have 3 months covered, your expenses covered. 6 months if you're in sales, or those numbers fluctuate. But then as we were talking, I said, well, if I don't know what you have in emergency funds, then I'm going to tell you to have an emergency fund. So then they disclose what they had. So it was just kind of interesting.
Well, and the target also changes depending on inflation because costs have gone up so much. I think that it's important to factor that in as well. I mean, what I used to spend in gas and car insurance is dramatically different than what I spend today.
Yeah, and when even food costs more. I mean, everything's like everything has gone up.
So that you need to revisit the actual numbers of how much do I spend on a monthly basis.
And then within your emergency fund, if there's an opportunity to look at if there's a high yield savings or something that you can do to earn a little interest, so that's something to look at as well. Yeah. And then lastly, looking at your kind of spring to-do list. So this is a good time to really reflect and look at your estate plan. We're not estate planning attorneys. We do recommend that you speak to your own estate planning attorney, but making sure that your beneficiaries are in order, your trust is up to date. And
if you have any big life events ever, you want to make sure you're revisiting those as well and talking to your estate planning attorney, because you don't want that little surprise where I had a client got divorced, failed to change beneficiaries from ex-wife to new wife, and passed away in an accident. And so just make sure that you're reviewing that if there are any big life events.
Yeah. And so once again, you want to, some of the beneficiaries could be on your 401ks, your IRAs, your Roths, any life insurance. I mean, you want to make sure everything's up to date. And then it would be a good time to, maybe look at your life insurance or even your property.
We're talking with an insurance agent this morning, and he was saying make sure those annual reviews are important. Yeah. Make sure you're scheduling them to make sure that you have the right coverages.
Yeah, and so we think this is a good time to start that process. So as we're phasing into the summertime, a little bit of financial,
a little spring cleaning,
and let's gear up for a strong second half of the year. Yes. Yeah. So, well, if you have any questions or if you'd like us to review your current situation, we're happy to have a conversation with you. You can reach us at 760-692-5700. Thank you for getting savvy today with us about your finances, and always remember to savvy up. Please stay tuned for important disclosures. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results, and the indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional. Savvy Woman Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC.